Hey guys, my name is Szochs and I'm a challenger Qiyana player, and this video is gonna be about Qiyana mid guide for season 12. So this video is gonna talk about, or it's gonna target new Qiyana players and the returning Qiyana players. And it's gonna talk about the skills, runes, builds, lane phase, mid game, and late game. So why should you play Qiyana? Well, you can win almost any objectives in any phase of the game just with your ultimate. She's also a really good roaming champion before level 6 and after level 6 because her dives are really powerful in any elo due to her damage outputs. One other great thing is that not a lot of people are really too familiar with Qiyana, so you can catch them off guard and maybe pick up a free kill or two. You have a great outplay potential with Grass Element, where you can stall for your team to rescue you and make your outplay. And most importantly, she is thick. Let's talk about Qiyana's skills. So if you're familiar with Qiyana, you probably can skip this session straight to the rune section. But if you're new to Qiyana, stick around and I'll teach you, or I'll try to make it the least painful for you guys. So basically, Qiyana's passive is just going to be a bonus physical damage on the first time you hit, and you can only reset it by changing element with W, which I'll talk about in a bit, like that. And then you can trigger it with Q and E. Q is a ability that just jabs in a straight line, but then it gets extended by with the element. And then there's 3 different type of element, but a regular Q would just stab in front just like that. And then we'll talk about W. W is an ability that you can jump over walls. So let's jump over this wall. You can jump over a lot of walls. And the biggest thing about W is that you can actually switch your element, just like how I changed my passive. So if I W over the grass, I get the grass element, which throws out the invisibility. If I W on the river, which also works in the ocean drake puddles, like around blue and raptors, it'll throw out a mini root and the slow after. And finally, you can grab the rock, which does bonus damage on hit when they are below 50% HP, just like that. And then E is a dash ability. You can dash through the targets like this, or you can dash maximum range. If you do it close, you'll reach further out, just like Yasuo's E. And lastly, there's the ultimate, where it would explode around the wall. It would explode around the impact of the wall and the river. So it didn't touch any wall, but then it still exploded because that's just Qiyana's ult trait, one of the ult trait. It also explodes in the grass here, as you can see. This green aura, it's because it's in the grass and it just explodes. This is probably gonna be your rune set setup for, I would say, 95% of the time. There's like, I do have an exception where if you're a new Qiyana player, I would kind of recommend going the biscuit delivery and the timer tonic, starting with the corrupting potion, just so you get the hang of like how to manage your mana in the laning phase, and it gives you a lot of like more safety option for you to get used to the champion, right? So I would definitely recommend biscuit delivery and timer tonic for the new Qiyana players. But if you're experienced, if you know the Qiyana's damage and stuff, you definitely know that Presence of Mind and Last Stand will be your best choice for these secondary runes. Some people find this movement speed helpful, more helpful in the early game and into late game, but it's usually just best to take Raven's Hunter because Qiyana has no form of sustain in their kit and her build. So it's really like, if you get poked down in mid to late game, there's no way for you to heal back up, and then you're kind of starting the fight with like really low HP, which is pretty bad. But you could take Relentless Hunter and just test it out for yourself and see how you like it. But these will be my recommended runes. For secondary, you can obviously switch into Presence of Mind and Tenacity if they have stuff like Galio Leona in their team. Fiddlestick. Who else is there? Fiddlestick. Maokai. Just a lot of CC in their team. I would say 2 is a pretty good number for you to think about Tenacity Rune. But if not, it's completely fine to go Last Stand and just go into Merc Treads. With the runes completed, now that you know what to take, let's talk about builds. If you took the corrupting potions or the timer tonic secondary, obviously start off with the corrupting potion. But if you are somewhat experienced or you want to just go the recommended 95% of the time build, you want to start off with the long sword, probably almost always. This is because you don't want to go Dorns and delay your mythic by a while. And the thing about Qiyana is completing her mythic like as soon as possible is the key to snowballing a game. So you want to start Longsword, which is a building component for Prowler's Claw, Eclipse, or Dustblade. In this case, I would recommend Prowler's Claw 90% of the time. But I think it just really comes down to playstyle. If you don't really find yourself using Prowler's Claw in your combos a lot or being helpful, you could go try using Eclipse. If you don't find Eclipse being really helpful, then you can try using Dustblade, and if you don't find Dustblade being helpful, obviously go back to Prowler's Claw. There is a build with Gorginker, but I'm not really going to talk about Gorginker because I haven't played that build in a while and I really don't know how it is. And I wouldn't really want to recommend to you guys because you're playing Assassin overall and your job is not really to be the tanky frontliner with the Gorginker, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about lethality only, and maybe with more requests I'll talk about the Gorginker build in a different video, but this video is just solely going to talk about the lethality build. So going over the builds, that is what you're going to start off with, and your building path is going to be straight to your mythic item. I mean, obviously if you can get boots, then get your boots, but you want your mythic item ASAP because that is the most important thing for you to have during like mid to early game transition, where this is where you're gonna rack up a lot of kills and potentially snowball the game out of control. So after you get your Prowler's Claw, you got damage to kill most like targets, and you got the utility to team fight as well with your ultimate and stuff. But we'll talk about team fighting later in the video, but for now let's focus on builds. So after building Prowler's Claw, you want to build Ionian Boots. This is your go-to, almost build every time. There's one honorable mention. I would say build Merc Treads into a lot of CC because the worst thing that can happen is that you can't get your ultimate off, you're CC forever, and you just become useless. So why build damage slash more CDR if you can't even use any ability because you're CC forever, right? So build Merc Treads. Other than that, you're gonna build Ionian Boots. Make sure to swap your trinket as well. It's very important. It's easy to forget. I sometimes forget it. So don't worry if you do. Just make sure to switch it out and start controlling the vision. And after you grab that, you want Yumus. This is gonna be your bread and butter mid-game transition items. Yumus is gonna provide you literally everything Qiyana can ask for, or literally any assassin can ask for, which gives you the movement speed out of combat, the movement speed when you activate so you can keep chasing down or run away, I guess. A lot of AD, a lot of lethality, and decent amount of ability. So literally everything that assassin needs, or Qiyana in this case. So you want this Yumus, and after you grab Yumus, now you decide if enemy team has a lot of tanky champions or a lot of enemy are building armor, then you want to go Seraphless Grudge. And please keep in mind that Seraphless Grudge is literally 99.99% better. It's gonna be 99.99% better than Lord Dominic's. Like people get really obsessed with this 15% bonus damage with the Lord Doms, but it really doesn't do that much. Like I tested it out, it's not even that good. I'll just say it's just not that good. So just trust me on this one. Go Serious Grudge. The ability haste and the extra AD and the slow is actually gonna help you against those tanks anyway than the Lord Doms would, because you're even with Lord Doms you're not one-shotting any tank. Okay, so just go Serious Grudge. This is just like what you should build instead of Lord Doms if they have a lot of armor, of course. And if they don't, then you could, instead of going the flat percent, or yeah, the percent armor pen, let's get more gold so we can get more items. So Lord Doms could go for Edge of Night if they have like important CCs such as Malzahar, Ari, Charm, what else is there? Vex's W Fear, so it interrupts you. But it's great for one of the CCs where you can block one time and get your abilities off, where you can finally CC them before they can CC you, right? So you would want that as a third item if they have champions like that, but if not, and they have a lot of shields, obviously you want to go Serpent's Fang. I do want to mention Serpent's Fang. You can actually bring this Serpent's Fang up to second item if they have like a lot of shield and you're not too fed, because Serpent's Fang actually provides a lot of value, and Yumu's loses a lot of value if you can't really kill them, right? So it might as well be useful in team fights where you apply that 50% like reduced shield on them. So definitely go this as a second item if they have a lot of shields and you're not really fed to snowball them. But if you're pretty fed and they have, even if they have a lot of shield, you could go Yumu's second item and then build towards the Serpent's Fang third. So let's say after building Serpent's Fang third, this is one item that came out recently. It might get nerfed, but if it gets nerfed, I'll make an alternative build for Qiyana, but as of right now, it's actually really good. Like, you should go Death Stance like 4th item. You should try to get Death Stance 4th to 5th item, because 3rd you usually would get like Zelda's Grudge. Even if they have like Zanya's, this item is just so good. Like, even if they have 80 armor, you would want to go Zelda's Grudge. It provides you the most damage out of any lethality item. So, but yeah, do go the Zelda's Grudge. And then after Death Stance, obviously could be situational now. You want to go Serpent's Fang if they have a lot of shields. This is also an item that you could go now because it gives you a lot of AD and ability haste, but if I do go Black Cleaver, I usually don't stack it, or I don't like to stack it with Zelda's Grudge, because it's not like the 30% plus the 30% on Zelda's Grudge. It actually becomes like, I think 46% or something. It's like 30% on top of the 30% instead of like additional. So it's multiplicative, not additive. So it actually loses a lot of value, but it's still good sometimes. But yeah, I mean, if you really want to, I guess you can go. It's kind of buffed, but meh. Axiom Mark is something that you can just play around with if you feel like there is a lot. It's a Fiesta game and you need your ultimate literally every team fight. Then sure, go for Axiom Mark. But I do not recommend Axiom Mark for any like 3rd item or 4th item. So please don't go this item. And if they have a lot of AP, Maw Mortis is actually gonna be really good. You wanna get this like 3rd item if you can against a lot of AP. This is actually just gonna make it so that you literally don't die. So there's that. And then if they have AP, you still want to go Death Stance, because Death Stance applies to magic damage as well. And other than that, you just literally can build anything after that. Like even GA is fine instead of Death Stance, like, or Ma. If they don't have AP, you want to go like this, right? So this is gonna be looking like your endgame build. Long story short, If they have a lot of armor, Selfless Grudge. If they don't really have a lot of armor, then just go Death Stance. Or if they have a lot of shield, Serpent's Fang. If they have a lot of magic damage, just go Mob. And if they have CC, that's gonna interrupt your combo, then just go Edge of Night. One thing I don't want you to go is the Collector. Please just don't go this item. I think it's awful for champions like Qiyana. If you're one of those big Collector fans, from the satisfaction of you doing 999 true damage, then go for it, be my guest, but it's not recommended. So, well, now that we are, oh, let me just mention, if you do want to go different mythic, you can. The build is gonna be it's gonna be the same. So, it's just gonna be that your combos and your playstyle is gonna be a little different, right? Because Prowess Claw, you want to one-shot using your Prowess Claw. Eclipse, you want to just go in and out, and, you know, be the annoying guy. Or you could be an assassin because it still does damage. And Duskblade, you want to like all in, go invisible, play off your cooldowns, and etc. Right? So now let's talk about your laning phase. Your goal as Qiyana is to get ahead in the early game, whether that is through solo killing your lane opponent or roaming. So against a ranged matchup like TF, I start a Q and I'm only trying to last it while trying to conserve my health. Notice how I'm trying to pull the wave towards my tower where I can farm a lot more safer than just the middle of the lane. I quickly Q those 2 minions for level 2 and grab grass, preparing to go in. He walks up to punish me while going for this CS, and I use this time to actually walk up to him with grass, stick onto him with W, and then trade successfully. Now I'm in a position where I can solo kill him, but TF realizes that, so he decides to back off. So in this case, where TF is just gonna play really safe and then heal back up to full HP, you just want to slow push and look to do a roam into the top side or bot side. Noticing the top lane is gonna be dead, I just decide to path to bot side where they're trading pretty aggressively, so I might be able to get a nice roam onto the bot side for free kills. Now worst case scenario, they just back off and then our bot lane gets control and they just shove in the wave and reset. But that is not the case. They continue the aggression, so I just keep going bot and we get a kill onto the Alistar. If this was a old patch, or a new patch I mean, where TF can't TP to a lane minion like that, it would have been a simple double kill, but TF does end up getting the TP. But we later keep skirmishing for more kills, and that is how we win the early game. W-Star is generally good against melee matchups like Echo, Akali, Zed, Katarina, and Kassadin. You want to grab Ice or Grass as your first element before the first wave appears, and try to auto the enemy champion before using your W on the rock element or different element to apply the passive damage again. If enemy is playing safe, then slow push it to deny CS and pressure them at the tower with the big wave. You can poke them using your Q while they're at their wave, or you can also use this time to go into your enemy jungle and fight the enemy jungler. It is totally fine to start Q against these matchups, but you will have to play to pull the wave into your tower just like the range matchups. E-start is rarely done, but it is possible if the enemy mages cross your ranged minions to try and poke you. This way you can fight with your minions while enemy minions are not in range to assist the enemy champion. This can create a good HP lead which can lead you to a level 3 all-in kill. So, mid-game for Qiyana is the part where a lot of Qiyana players fail to push their lead and their snowball that they got from the early laning phase. Most of the time, you want to give your mid lane to your ADC/support, whether you are ahead or behind, because you want your support to control more vision around mid lane, and your ADC can definitely farm more safely in mid lane and move around the map quicker. You want to be on the side lane, pushing in your own wave, or moving around with your jungler to deny the enemy jungler to fall back even more behind, or set up vision for the upcoming objective. Now you might say, Szochs, my games are Fiesta 24/7 and I can't side lane. For this scenario, you might want to stay around your team and work really hard to get vision. Doing this will set you up a lot of opportunities for assassination or roaming in to kill the side laner. Now you reach late game with Qiyana, and what do? You want to be near your team and in the jungle somewhere, always controlling vision. This is the point where one team fight could lead to a win or loss. Try to have control wards in your inventory, of course if you have space for them, but this means buy control wards instead of buying extra one long sword. You want to create a situation where the enemy would have to walk into the jungle where you guys have vision, for which can help you set up a very nice ult angles for you to win the game. Important notes to consider while you're playing Qiyana. 1 is positioning in teamfights. You want to position yourself in flank position at all times. It is a lot easier for the enemy to misposition when you're not seen in the map versus you actually being seen on the map. You want to be spamming grass Q to move freely in your shroud for angles to kill your enemy in the back line. This works as your front line, which makes it very hard for your enemy to approach further into your back line as well. Tip number 2. You can use Prowler's Claw to position yourself behind them to EQ out. This will give you the option to safely kill them and get out. Tip number 3. You can use your W and Prowler's Claw in your grass queue, and you will still remain invisible. As long as you don't get out of the stealth zone, or attack the enemy with an attack or ability, you should remain stealth until the duration ends. Tip number 4. You can look for an all-in versus squishy targets after you have certain they're completed. Make sure to punish your enemy when they disrespect your damage. Tip number 5. If you press any of the emotes with control 1, 2, 3, or 4, you can actually dab after a kill or an assist. Alright guys, that'll be it for Season 12 Qiyana Mid Guide. If you guys enjoyed this guide, make sure to leave that like button because it helps me out a lot on the algorithm of reaching new Qiyana players just like you. If you thought something was missing, I would love your feedback in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys can climb to your desirable ranks.